Just like the bird who feels the sun and sings before the dawn has come. Have faith, have faith. Slowly, slow, my child, the world waits for you, and your window of time will come shining through. Slowly, slow, don't rush, you know, it'll all come easy.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت باركت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبعد إخواني في الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome again to another episode where we're searching for happiness, inshallah. And I think by now we have happiness. We are finishing off bi'idhnillah in the means and discussing the ways which will make us attain happiness. In the last episode we talked about at-tawakkul. We began by mentioning the strength of the heart, something very important, and the importance of tawakkul. And I think we talked what is enough for us, even though there's so much more to talk about tawakkul, but we have enough, except for one fact, which we had no time to discuss, which we'll discuss right now, inshallah. At-tawakkul, depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not mean, and I'm saying this because there's people who have, it's like a misconception, or they have a wrong understanding of this. At-tawakkul does not mean you do away with the reasons. At-tawakkul does not mean you do away with the reasons. What do we mean by that? Some people, they think tawakkul means you just lock yourself in the masjid, mashallah, you're doing ibadah for 16 hours, then for the 8 hours you're sleeping, and you wish for a happy life. Where are you going to get the money to pay for your rent and to buy clothes and food or whatever? He says, I'm a person of tawakkul. That is not tawakkul. He becomes sick, take some medicine. No, I don't need medicine. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. And he gives you an ayah. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he said, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. When I become sick, he cures me. So Allah will cure me. This is not the way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who told you He'll cure you, He is the same one who revealed this Quran to the Prophet ﷺ, right or wrong? Yes, He revealed it to the Prophet ﷺ. That's how you got it. And He is the same one, subhanahu wa ta'ala, who told the Prophet ﷺ to say to us, Tadaw ya Ummat Muhammad, O Ummat Muhammad, take medicine. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ, because surely Allah the Almighty, لَمْ يَنزِلِ الدَّاءِ إِلَّا أَنزَلَ مَعَهُ الدَّوَاءِ. Allah did not bring any sickness except that He brought His cure also. So search for the cure, take the treatment, take the medicine. The Prophet ﷺ, when he was sick, he used to take medicine. So what kind of tawakkul do you have? Are you better than him? This is something you have to understand. Yes, the ayah still stands there. وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. When I become sick, He cures me. He cures you when you take the reasons. It's like you want children, but you don't get married. How can you have children? Some things just simple and logic, simple logic. I want children, but you don't get married. How are you going to get children? I want to have a nice job and I want to have a nice car, but you don't work. You don't even send resumes to potential companies or whatever. If you don't seek for the job, how do you expect the job to come to you? You say, I'm a person of, that's not tawakkul. The Prophet ﷺ is the best people of tawakkul. Look at his life. Look at the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. When he was just, I'll give you some examples. When he was migrating to Medina, doing the hijrah, when he prepared himself, he said to Abu Bakr, prepare 2 nice horses or camels which will be good enough for the journey. Why didn't he say, just walk to Medina because I'm the Prophet and Allah will protect me, I have tawakkul? That is not the way. When they left, and we mentioned this in one of the episodes, they took a different route, by the way. They didn't take the normal route to Medina. No, they changed ways because they knew the kuffar are chasing them to kill them. So they changed paths, they changed the road. Why? Because they're people of tawakkul. They're taking the means. Yes, Allah will protect us, but Allah said we take the means. Then they went and they hid in the cave. Why did the Prophet say, I'm a person of tawakkul, I'll never hide? That is not the way. You do the means and leave the rest to Allah. That's why you see, even in the cave, Abu Bakr said, Rasulullah, if they look down, they can see. He said, no, Allah is with us. This is tawakkul. You take the means and you know for sure Allah is with me. So tawakkul means also taking the means. But taking the means, now this is where tawakkul comes. Don't let your heart be attached to the means or the reasons. Let your heart be attached to Allah. Example, you're taking medicine, you're sick. Don't let your heart be attached to the medicine, thinking the medicine is the one it's the one which cures you. La, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who cures me. I'm just taking the medicine as a reason. I'm just doing this job, it's a reason. It's not the boss who's the one who provides for me, it's Allah. This is just a reason, He is just a reason. This is how the Muslim lives. Your heart is attached to Allah and you just do the physical reasons. So this was something very important to mention in tawakkul. Remember the Prophet ﷺ gave the example of the birds. If you had the right tawakkul, which Allah deserves, Allah would feed you and provide for you and give you a good life, just like how He gives to the birds. How does it give it the birds? The Prophet ﷺ said, the bird, it goes out in the morning looking for food. You also should go out looking for food. Do whatever it is, as long as it's halal, and Allah shall provide for you. At-tawakkul, in short, the Shaykh has mentioned it indirectly so many times. Take the means which will give you inner strength. Take the means which will ward off evil. Take the means which will keep away those things which give you sadness. Remember that? He mentioned this so much. This is tawakkul. You just do the means, but your heart is firmly and fully depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And tawakkul is the soul of ibadah. The spirit of ibadah is tawakkul. At-tawakkul is the secret to success. Now moving on, we read on what the Shaykh has to say. He says, Chapter 7, another of the means of reaching happiness. It's a new means. He says, there are 2 important lessons to learn from the saying of the Prophet ﷺ. He brings this hadith and says there's 2 important lessons. Lessons which will lead us to have happiness. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا يفرق مؤمن مؤمنة لا يفرق مؤمن مؤمنة إن كره منها خلقا رضي منها آخر. Now we're coming to a very different but important aspect which affects our daily lives in attaining happiness. The Prophet ﷺ says, a believing man, especially the husband, should not dislike a believing woman, especially his wife. If he dislikes one character of hers, he shall surely like another. If he dislikes one character, he shall surely like another. So just because she has one or two something or characters which are not so pleasant does not mean you hate her, does not mean you end the relationship. The Shaykh says, listen to what the Shaykh has to say. He says, the first is, the first of those 2 lessons, he said, which are very, very essential in giving us important lessons from this hadith. The first is, this hadith, it gives guidance in the way to deal with wives, relatives, friends, colleagues, and anyone with whom you have a relationship or association. This, as he said, brothers and sisters, no man is an island. No man is an island. Yani, no person lives by himself in this world. You have to interact with others. You have to. Whether it is in trade, whether it is in your personal life, whether it is in your religious life, you're living with others, you live with others, you have to associate yourself with others, you have to deal with others. This is very, very important, like we said. It affects us maybe in every moment of our lives. How do we deal with others to attain happiness? Because most of us, the reason of our sadness is how we deal with other people. This is the truth. The Shaykh says, it is a guidance, this hadith, to deal with wives, relatives, friends, colleagues, and anyone you have a relationship or association with. It teaches you that, now take these lessons, it teaches you that you have to prepare yourself to accept the fact that any person with whom you have any sort of relationship will definitely have imperfections, and bad qualities or some character which you don't like. This is a very, very important lesson to learn, wallahi. You should know that human beings are deficient. Some of us, we have, I don't know what kind of ideas. You expect everybody to be perfect, or you expect everybody to deal with you in the right way which you want. It's never going to happen like that. Then you become sad because of that as a result. You should know that anyone you deal with, you have any sort of relationship, whether it is personal or business or any sort of relationship, they'll definitely have some sort of imperfection, bad quality or character which you don't like. So if you find that in him, think of what is incumbent upon you. And what is incumbent upon you, what should you do? Think what is proper for you to do regarding the maintaining that relationship. Don't just be hasty and right away do something which is going to break the ties. He says, think of something which is going to preserve the bond of love and affection between you, especially people are so close to you. What do? He says, bring to mind his good qualities. Bring to mind how important the religion attaches, how important the religion teaches us to maintain good social relations. It's something very important in the deen. In one of the earlier episodes we talked about doing good to others. He says, by overlooking the bad qualities and bringing to mind the good ones they have, bonds of relationship and good companionship are maintained, and this is another source of harmony, this is another source of peace, this is another source of being happy. Don't focus on the negative only, this is the idea. Because if you are to do that, and then you become angry on others and you don't have a good life, I say, he spoiled my day. Well, people will be the same to you. And you will be a reason for people's anger also, and people not having a good day, because you have you have also bad qualities. You also have things which are not so good. After the break, inshallah, we continue this very important aspect of this very important principle. Don't go far away, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Slowly, slow, don't rush, you know, it'll all come easy.
The words of Allah, the Quran, sent to us by the Almighty, so we can hear and obey.
We cannot live our life without the Holy Quran. You must listen carefully to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because your safety and my safety will be with this great verses of the Holy Quran. We are here in this world for a test, and this test, and you will have questions in the Day of Judgment.
Hear and obey with Sheikh Rifat Muhammad in Ramadan, only on Huda TV.
Slowly, slow, don't rush, you know, it'll all come easy.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back. We're talking about today the very, very important principle of how to deal with others. This is wallahi very, very important in bringing happiness to our lives. The art of dealing with people. It's an art by itself. It's a field by itself, Allah. The Shaykh, he pointed out that no man lives, as they say, no man is an island. You have to deal with others. All of us know that. And if you have to deal with others, then know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created human beings, including yourself, weak, and they have imperfections and bad qualities, all of us. So what do? Learn to accept those bad qualities and live by the saying and by the teaching of the Prophet ﷺ, La yafruk mu'minu mu'minat. The believer does not abandon, especially the husband does not just abandon the wife because of something. If he sees a bad quality in her, then surely she has other good qualities also. This is very important. And the Shaykh said there's two main lessons here. The first, which we have spoken about. Then he continues to say, the second lesson is that this hadith teaches us how to ward off grief and worry and bring about an honest and sincere relationship in which each party fulfills his obligations and dues to the other, and harmony is maintained between them. It teaches you that. The one who does not work with this teaching of the Prophet ﷺ and does the opposite, where he opposes this sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, whereby he busies himself with noticing the bad qualities and ignoring the good ones, there's no doubt that he'll be overtaken by worries and anxieties, and there's no doubt also that the bond of love that is between him and that other person will be cut, and many of the rights and obligations of both parties will not be fulfilled. Just bring about misery into your life because you want perfect. There's nobody who's perfect. The Shaykh says, many people with high aspirations and inner energy, listen to this point. Many people, most of us overlook this. This is what the Shaykh is mentioning now. Many people with high aspirations and inner energy are able to prepare themselves to deal with heavy calamities and adversities with patience and tranquility. But when they are faced with small and trivial issues, they become worried and anxious and angry, and their hearts lose their clarity. Their hearts lose the clarity of thought and become shaken. The reason behind this is that they were able to prepare themselves to deal with major situations, and they ignored the minor ones. As a result, things they regarded as insignificant took them off their guard, and unsettled their peace and brought misery into their life. The real strong person prepares himself to deal with both great and insignificant issues, and asks the help of Allah in that, as always, and that Allah does not leave him to himself even for the blink of an eye. When he does that, the small issues becomes easy for him to handle just as the big ones, and he maintains his composure, his happiness and tranquility. The Shaykh is saying here, most of us, we take this concept or this part of our lives dealing with others, take it to be very trivial and small, when in fact this is one of the major things which affect our lives, because every day you have to deal with people. You prepare yourself for calamities, poverty and all that, fear, but these issues are not prepared. This takes us off guard. Most of us, you're like that. I know you're nodding your head right now saying, well, it's true. You're very good in the right and happy mood, and you're walking around, then somebody says something or somebody does something to you and he throws you off guard completely, and your whole day is shattered and you lose your happiness. Why? Because you want a perfect world. You have to know, my brothers and my sisters, if you really want happiness, We don't live in a perfect world. This is the world of test, as we mentioned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَجَعَلْنَا بَعْضَكُمْ لِبَعْضٍ فِتْنَةً أَتَصْبِرُونَ. We made each of you fitnas to each other, test for each other. You sit with your friends, then one of them says something you don't like. How do you deal with that? Somebody you have hope in that is, mashallah, is very good. You see something which he does which is not so proper. How do you deal with that? Your friend, your wife, your children, the close people, how do you deal with that? Don't live as if you're in a perfect world. Accept people as they are. This is one of the most essential things to give you happiness. Accept them as they are. Don't be one who just becomes negative. In fact, you, as we have known, one of the major ways of gaining happiness is to do good to others. You try to be the source of inspiring them to be better. If you see that they have problems, they have deficiencies, try to make them better. Not become angry and start to talk about them and start to just concern yourself with their negative. This will give you worry and grief and all your life you'll never be happy. That's why you see some people, they just live by themselves and they think that's going to give them happiness, and they turn out, in the end, they become mad and they become stressed. The Prophet ﷺ says, the one who lives with people and intermingles with them and can take and bear their wrong and their deficiencies, he is better than the one who just secludes himself. Allah taught us this. The believer does not just throw away his friends and his relationships, his wife or her husband, because of one bad character or two. Islam taught us, brothers and sisters, we have a mizan, weight. If somebody is good, is better than his evil, then this is somebody to get close to. Have a good relationship. If his evil is greater than his good, generally, not just one character, generally, then that's somebody who you should distance yourself. But more than that, better is for you to correct them, rectify them, make them better. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in many ayahs. And in this part, I'd like to mention these verses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for the Ibadur Rahman, those good people of Allah who attain happiness, inshaAllah. وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. When the jahilun, the ignorant people, they talk to them with evil things and bad things, how do they reply? They say, salam, salam, peace on you, and they go away. This is how we react. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَاسْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرُ, telling the Prophet, concerned with what you have been commanded. وَأَعْرِضْ, and turn away from the ignorant ones, from the mushrikun, from those who don't want to lead you, who don't want good for you. Just turn away from them. Concern with what is good. On this point specifically, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about وَعَاشِرُهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, live with your wives in good. Live in a good terms with your wife. Treat them well. So that they can treat you well. This is what Islam says. That's when Allah says, and if you dislike something about them, فَعَسَى, Allah says, أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا, you might dislike something about them, وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا, but there's so much other good. There's so much more good in her or in him if it's your husband, sister. Why do you just put him away and just break the relationship and create chaos and it's just stress in the marriage because of one or two deficiencies which every human must have? This is very, very important. And I'd like to say, just to share some advice for those who love to read. This is an art, I'm telling you, it's an art which you have to master. And by experience you gain, inshaAllah. Also try to read. And the best way for us Muslims, we know, is through the Sunnah. This is where we got it. The Shaykh began with the Hadith. Look at how the Prophet ﷺ lived with people. He faced so many trials from his own people, even his wives. Look how he dealt with those problems. His own companions, sometimes they did things which are, they were like humans. How did the Prophet ﷺ react? He was brought here for us to learn. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Second, there's a very good book which I'll recommend. But again, there's nothing like the Sunnah. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. By the way, he's one of those people whom the Sheikh took from. We benefit, even if they're non-Muslims, if they have something good for us to benefit, we benefit from it. As long as it does not contradict Islam. To summarize these points, one, the Sheikh says, prepare yourself. Know that people are deficient. People, they have bad characteristics which they're going to affect you. So prepare yourself. We talked about preparation before. Second, plan the proper way to react. Be ready. Plan the proper reaction. Third, don't forget the good which people also have. Fourth, which we shall touch on also, inshallah, in our next episode, follow the golden rule, which is what? Whatever the Prophet ﷺ gave you, he is the best example. He is the one who's the best of all teachers for us to lead a happy life. Inshallah, in the next episode, which in fact will be our last episode for us to reach happiness, we shall finish off, and bi'idhnillah we shall be right on the door knocking into happiness. Stay happy until then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Have faith, just like the bird who feels the sun and sings before the dawn has come. Have faith, have faith. Slowly, slow, my child, the world waits for you. Just like the bird who feels the sun and sings before the dawn has come. Have faith, have faith. Slowly, slow, my child, the world waits for you, and your window of time will come shining through. Slowly, slow, don't rush, you know, it'll all come easy.